The critical importance of fruits, vegetables, and superfoods. So in this course, we are going to cover all of those. There's no such thing as junk food. There's junk, and then there is food. That's a famous quote by Dr. Mark Hyman. I can't agree with that more. Hey, our mindset moment for this course: every day for at least 15 minutes, be selfish, enjoy some time for you. All right? That's what I want you to do. Every day, at least 15 minutes for you. That could be time meditating. That could be time exercising. That could be time just reflecting on yourself and what life is. It could be writing your goals. At least 15 minutes a day. Make some time for you. Our course outline. So we're gonna go over our action plan like we always do. Then we are going to cover why vegetables are so important, why fruits are so important, and then we'll go into superfoods, kind of what they are and why you should eat them. And then we will talk about taking some further action. So right now, folks, hopefully you guys are all progressing well. If you're just taking this course and you've only signed up for this course, then we highly recommend that you take a look at the complete program. Either our gold or platinum programs, or both give you access to all of our coursework, and then you can go through these courses in order. But to review your current action plan, hopefully you've made a few friends now. So I want you to try to do something else though here. Not just you've made a few friends, but try to join some sort of meetup or join some sort of group that also has something to do with health. It could be a hiking group. It could be a walk on the beach group, whatever it is. It could be a group of guys or gals that go to the gym together. It could be a group that meets for meditation or yoga, or that just meets for social purposes. Any of that is fine, but that it's in a healthy state of mind. Practicing traffic light eating. You should be pretty good at traffic light eating by now. We'll refer to traffic light eating a little bit. So if you haven't taken the lean course, I recommend checking that out. You should be have eliminated most of the toxic foods in your toxins in your environment and your diet as much as you could. And then continue moving, continue being active. We should be writing our goals daily in the morning, reviewing them before bed, and you should be measuring your health. I'm not so concerned about the scales. I am about you measuring your measurements and logging how you're feeling. Keep health top of mind. Keep that mindset positive. Continue listening to podcasts, watching documentaries. Continue listen to these courses and going through these courses. And then also, read some books on healthy lifestyle and success. If you don't have time for that right now and you just doing all you can to have the time to go through these courses, that's fine. Go through these courses, learn what you can here, which really is going to give you everything you need. But once you're done with these courses, it's really important that you keep that mindset going forward. All right, you should be meditating daily, folks. Hopefully that's happening. We need to keep those anxiety and stress levels down. You should be shopping organic, cooking your own meals 80% of the time, working to eliminate those stressors in life, continuing to practice deep breathing. These are all things I got to remind myself to do on a regular basis, right? So it's all important to a healthy lifestyle. Most of them I just do naturally because it's my lifestyle. Now some things, they fall off. I still remind myself to take those deep breaths. If it has 5 or more ingredients on the label, or if sugar's added, you shouldn't be eating it. And you should be getting at least 5 servings of vegetables every day and eating the rainbow. We will be talking much more about those servings of vegetables in this course. So why are vegetables so important? First, a little quote from Dr. Chatterjee. A part of the problem is that overconsumption of sugar seems to alter our taste buds. As they become used to it, our bodies crave more and more. One illuminating 2016 study compared 2 groups of people who initially were consuming the same amount of sugar. One group was put on a low sugar diet, whilst the other group continued on their existing one. The group consuming the low sugar diet rated the same dessert as sweeter than the group who had not reduced their sugar intake. As every month passed, they rated it as more and more sweet. This is further evidence that reducing your intake of sugar changes your sense of taste. Hey, listen, so I experienced this as I was going through my change. I ate less and less sugar. I used to eat a lot of sugar, and I still have a bit of a sweet tooth. But as I reduced my sugar intake, I noticed that when I would eat something sweet, it was much more powerful, to the point that things that I would eat too much of before, I could only have 1 or 2 bites of, because it was just so overpowering, the sweetness. So this is important, because if you're not eating fruits and vegetables, if you don't think they taste good, there's one of 2 things wrong. You're either eating too much sugar and your taste buds are totally skewed, or you're not eating organic produce, right? And it could be both, right? Because if you feel like the fruits and vegetables you're eating are tasteless, it's more than likely you're not eating organic, all right? Conventionally grown produce is typically fairly tasteless. Now, if you're also consuming a lot of sugar, that's not going to help things either. It's just messing up your taste buds. So vegetables, they pack a really big, powerful punch, folks. They're loaded with micronutrients, they're loaded with minerals, and they're loaded with those all-important phytonutrients that we've talked about several times now. Phytonutrients, if you guys don't remember, are those chemicals that are inside of fruits and vegetables that help the fruits and vegetables stay healthy and fight off disease. Those chemicals, when we consume them, then do the same thing for us. They help strengthen our microbiome to help us fight off disease. They help reduce inflammation. They help our bodies in huge, huge ways. Those phytonutrients are dead in most conventionally grown produce because they've been killed. And when they're dead, they don't do us any good. They have to be live. This is why it's important also to not cook your food at too high of a temperature, right? Different vegetables serve different needs in our bodies and minds. So we're going to talk about some of the different benefits of different fruits and vegetables. They eliminate cravings. So a lot of the reason why we have cravings is because we're nutritionally starved. You could be obese, but nutritionally starved because your brain and your body are not getting the nutrients that it needs. If you're the type of person that in the past has ate a lot of fast food, a lot of processed foods, you're not getting all those important minerals, micronutrients, and phytonutrients, and your brain is craving them. So it keeps wanting you to eat, but you keep eating things that don't give it what it needs, so you keep wanting to eat more and more. So you have these feelings of craving and these feelings of hunger, all right? You want to have a minimum of 5 servings of vegetables a day. That's about 2.5 cups cooked if you were to measure that out. Half of your vegetable intake should be raw, though. So I try to eat something raw with almost every meal if I can. At least 1 or 2 meals a day, though. All vegetables are green light foods with the exception of white potatoes, folks. Now, this is interesting. There's a reason for this, right? There's a reason why most, even your starchy root vegetables are okay to eat as much as you want, because guess what? You can only eat so many of them. Even if you eat to the point that you're full on something like butternut squash or sweet potatoes, it's only going to be like 300 calories, and you're going to be full and not be able to eat anymore. All right. So, by the way, just as a reminder, overcooking your food kills the nutrients. Even cooking it a little bit kills a lot of the nutrients. So that's why it's important to eat raw. Try to prepare things in healthy ways, leafy greens and whatnot. Try not to fry things. Try not to cook things in a bunch of oils and things, because those will take these wonderful nutrients, and you're kind of counteracting it with bad things. And quite, if you're frying it, you're just going to kill it anyway. All right, your leafy greens. So you can eat all the leafy green vegetables you want. There's no need to limit these, and the health benefits are enormous. One way to maximize getting nutrients from leafy greens, if you feel like you're behind and you need to super load, you can either take Juice Plus or you could just juice, right? So juicing is a great way to get more of those leafy greens in your body and those nutrients. Leafy greens are full of vitamins, minerals, and disease-fighting phytochemicals. They are rich in fiber and an important nutrient for weight loss and maintenance, because it keeps you feeling full and helps control your hunger. All right, if we're not eating enough fiber, we don't get that feeling of being full. Fiber can also lower your cholesterol and blood pressure and help to temper blood sugar swings by slowing the absorption of carbohydrates into your bloodstream after meals. This lowers your risk of cardiovascular disease and type 2 diabetes. Leafy greens also contain a lot of water, which helps keep you hydrated and continues to help you create beautiful skin and hair. So antioxidants like vitamin C, lutein, and zeaxanthin that are contained in leafy greens help reduce your risk of cataracts and macular degeneration. Vitamin C helps the body make collagen too. Collagen is a major component of cartilage that adds in joint flexibility. It may reduce your risk of arthritis and keep your skin and hair healthy and beautiful. Research has shown that vitamin C may also slow bone loss and decrease the risk of fractures. So your leafy greens, they have a lot of beta carotene in them. You know, things like collard greens, spinach, Swiss chard, these dark leafy greens, they contribute to the growth and repair of your body's tissues. Beta carotene may also protect your skin against sun damage. Beta carotene is converted to vitamin A in the body, and food sources of beta carotene are the best way to get your vitamin A fix. Since extremely high doses of vitamin A in supplements can be toxic and lead to bone, liver, and neural disorders as well as birth defects, food sources of beta carotene are entirely safe. Though, since the body regulates how much beta carotene is converted to vitamin A, so because the body regulates what's converted to vitamin A, it's totally safe. So if you're hearing like, oh, you don't want to eat too many leafy greens because there's this risk of beta carotene, it's different taking a supplement than eating real food. Your body will regulate how much it converts, just like on everything, like vitamin D is the same way, and so on. Leafy greens are excellent sources of folate. So folate reduces your risk of heart disease and memory loss. Folate also contributes to the production of serotonin and can help ward off depression, anxiety, and improve your mood. Keep in mind, serotonin is kind of that happy chemical in your brain, right? The vitamin E that is found in leafy green vegetables works with vitamin C to keep skin healthy as you age. All right. The leafy greens offer limitless health benefits. They can cause some complications though for people that are taking blood thinners. So I want to make sure you understand this. Like if you're on a blood thinner like warfarin or Coumadin or something like that, make sure you talk to your doctor to monitor your medication dosage as you increase your intake of dark leafy green vegetables. So I don't want you to just go out there and start pounding the leafy greens, the dark leafy greens, if you haven't been, if you're on something like this, because it'll thin your blood more and can cause issues. So you want to make sure you have a conversation with your doctor and let them know, hey, I want to start eating a lot of leafy greens, and then what you need to do is you got to keep eating those leafy greens to make things balance. I was on warfarin and Coumadin when I was going through my heart issues, so that's one reason why I know to bring this up and to make sure that you guys understand this. So as I increased my leafy green intake, I had to actually decrease the amount of warfarin that I took, which was good. I was taking less rat poison. It was awesome. So the nice thing is you get to decrease it. You don't have to go up, but you need to make sure that you're then eating a regular diet of leafy greens to keep things all happy, right? So some leafy greens like collards, kale, are particularly rich in calcium. This helps your teeth, your bones get strong, and reduces your overall risk of osteoporosis. Calcium also contributes to muscle function and blood pressure management. Leafy greens contain potassium as well, which further protects against osteoporosis and helps to manage your blood pressure. All right, let's talk a little bit about calcium. So this is something that comes up and it's a little bit controversial and it's all over the web. And if you start searching on the web, you got to be really careful because the USDA is not on your side. It's not on our side, folks. The USDA, I want you to understand this. The USDA, most people think that they are here to protect us from the food industry. It couldn't be more wrong. They are here to protect the food industry from us. Okay, so they are funded 100% by taxes paid by the food industry, okay, by farmers, the meat, dairy, all of those associations are the ones that fund the USDA, and they are here to set standards for fair commerce between those farmers and to set specific standards to protect those farmers. Okay, so you have to be really, really careful when you're out there reading stuff about dairy and milk and calcium consumption and calcium absorption. You got to look at the source, see where it's coming from. Most of the articles out there were backed and funded by the Milk and Dairy Association. All right, so you got to find the ones that weren't, the ones that are from independent studies. So most of what I'm going to talk to you guys about comes from some articles that I found online. A lot of stuff on forks over knives, but the amount of calcium that we ingest, right, may be less important than how much we actually absorb. So, for example, 1 cup of milk contains about 300 milligrams of calcium, but only about 30% of it, 90 milligrams, is actually absorbable. So out of the 300 milligrams of a glass of milk that you drink, only 30% of it's going to get absorbed. That means so bioavailability, which means it's available to our bodies, right, to actually use, is only 30%. So you're only getting 90 milligrams of that, right? So when we start comparing some calcium content, if you start looking over here at this chart, right, and you see, all right, the percentage on this thing of, you got firm tofu, for example, which isn't up here, I don't believe. Oh, yeah, it is. It is up here. So firm tofu, has an absorption rate of around 31%, which is about the same as milk, right? It also contains more protein. It has less saturated fat and about 1/10 of the sodium. So you're actually getting more from tofu than you would from milk. Right? There's also other calcium-intense vegetables like Chinese mustard greens, and they absorb They absorb a absorption rate. They enjoy an absorption rate of about 40%. So that's a little bit more, right? So half a cup of those cooked greens will give you as much calcium as 1 glass of milk. 1 cup of bok choy, 1.5 cups of kale, or 2 cups of broccoli contain the same amount of calcium as a glass of milk, but their absorption rate is 50 to 60%. So that's almost twice. That is twice, if at the 60% range, of the absorption rate of milk. So you get more, right? Now there are also studies that show that too much milk consumption leads to osteoporosis because our bodies don't want to create the calcium that we're supposed to from vitamin D, but that also correlates, quite frankly, to studies on vitamin D deficiency. So it's some of these studies are a little bit skewed and a little bit hard to understand, but the bottom line is I personally do not drink any milk. I do have some cheese here and there, but I don't drink milk at all. I get my calcium. My kids get their calcium from leafy greens and from these different sources. And it's interesting, like I go to the doctor with the kids and they always ask that question, are they drinking milk? I'm like, no, they don't drink any milk. They drink almond milk, but that doesn't have that much calcium in it. However, they are eating these other things that give them more calcium than if they were drinking milk. All right, so let's talk about root vegetables now. Any plant that grows underground is a root vegetable. So if we're eating the part that grows underground, that's the root. We're eating that. So the 13 healthiest root vegetables here, folks. We're going to go through these. Onions. Onions, they're high in antioxidants and may help reduce blood sugar levels and your risk of certain cancers. Onions work well in a variety of meals and can easily be added to salads, soups, scrambled eggs, casseroles, rice, or pasta dishes, and many more. Sweet potatoes may help to improve blood sugar control and are high in vitamin A, which may preserve vision and improve immunity and skin health. Sweet potatoes can be baked, boiled, roasted, or sautéed and enjoyed as delicious side dish or added to everything from sandwiches to salads to breakfast bowls. I love sweet potatoes. I eat sweet potatoes. I cut them up into like French fries, but then I don't fry them. I bake them in the oven. It's awesome. I use them. I use them in wraps. I use them in salads. I use them in all kinds of stuff. Turnips. Turnips are high in immune-boosting vitamin C and considered a root as well as a cruciferous vegetable. eating it may be associated with a lower risk of types of cancer. The reason why there's a lot of maybes on this, guys, is because there's a lot of studies out there, and they point to different things, but there's also some legal stuff where people can't say, yes, this helps prevent cancer, because there's legalities around that, right? Turnips can be swapped into nearly any recipe in place of potatoes. Try making turnip fries, coleslaw, stir fry, or salads. Ginger is rich in antioxidants and can help reduce nausea and decrease pain and inflammation. Ginger makes a great addition to tea, soup, smoothies, stews, and can bring a zesty zing to just about any dish. Hey, look, I love ginger too. I put ginger primarily in my tea. I will put it in smoothies here and there, especially if I feel like I'm coming down with a bug. It's an amazing flu fighter. Beets are a great source of nitrates and improve your exercise performance. They increase blood flow and decrease the growth of cancer cells, according to studies that have been done on both human and animal studies. To take advantage of the unique health benefits of beets, try roasting them, juicing, pickling, boiling, or steaming this delicious root vegetable. I will tell you one thing about juicing beets. Be careful, don't juice too many of them. If you have too many juiced beets, it will give you diarrhea. All right? I am speaking from experience. So, garlic. Garlic has potential medicinal properties due to the compound called allicin. It may help improve your immunity, reduce your blood pressure, and decrease cholesterol and triglyceride levels. So garlic is an amazing root vegetable, okay? This thing, I'll tell you here a little bit when we get to the cancer stuff. It's been shown in some studies to do some crazy stuff to cancer, just like totally wipe it out. Best of all, garlic is highly versatile and can be used to amplify the flavor of your favorite savory soups, sauces, side dishes, and main courses. Radishes contain a good amount of fiber and vitamin C. They may also have antifungal properties and could protect against stomach ulcers, according to some studies that have been done on animals and in test tubes. Radishes are great for bringing a bit of crunch to your meals or snacks. Try added slices to slaws, sandwiches, salads, tacos, or even your dish a nutritious and tasty upgrade. So give it to any dish for an upgrade, right? All right, fennel. All right, I don't really do a lot with fennel. I'm not a huge fan of fennel, but it's one of the the healthiest root vegetables out there. It does have this compound called anthol, which it's been shown to reduce blood sugar and block the growth of bacteria. Fennel can be enjoyed fresh, roasted, or sautéed, and is it's nice to mix into some stuff. I've used it more like a spice than I use it as an actual like vegetable to actually cook and eat. Carrots. Carrots. We all know carrots are high in beta carotene. We've heard it for years. They help with your eyes and all vision problems and all kinds of other things, right? Carrots are great snacks. You can do some really awesome stuff with carrots. I love those colored carrots. You can slice them up, put them in stir fries. You can also take those colored carrots. I like to use them like almost like baked French fries, like throw them on a baking dish, slap some olive oil over top of them, sprinkle on some seasoning, and then you just throw them in the oven and you cook them on like 350 for like 20 minutes, and you've got these super tasty little guys that you can dip in some mustard or something like that, and it's really delicious. Celery, which is celery root, is a nutrient rich root vegetable. It's high in vitamin K. It helps with blood clotting and bone health. It has a nutty taste and a crunchy texture. It works really well in salads. It can also be boiled, roasted, baked, or mashed and used in place of potatoes in almost any recipe. Tumeric has gotten a lot of really good accolades in recent years. It has coumarin in it, and it's a compound that's associated with a long list of benefits. It improves your joints. It reduces joint pain. It improves your blood sugar levels, and it improves symptoms of depressions. Turmeric, it's widely used as a spice. I use it as a spice. I get like this huge thing of organic turmeric at Costco, and I put it on a bunch of different stuff, right? You can put it in drinks. I put it over those carrots sometimes that I just talked about. All right, so potatoes. Potatoes, they pack a lot of nutrients and they're high in resistant starch. So the only issue with potatoes is if you do have high cholesterol, you should probably not eat too many potatoes because they've been shown to kind of mess with the size of the cholesterol. It's one thing that my doctor told me not to eat a lot of regular potatoes. That's why I eat a lot of sweet potatoes instead. But hey, steer clear of fried potatoes, please. No French fries that are fried. Bake them. That's fine. But as soon as you fry that potato, you've made it a toxic nightmare, and it is now junk food, so it's not even real food, right? Rutabaga is high in fiber, and it's really great at protecting against cancer and oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is like is what happens to your cells in your body as they get ripped apart and become cancerous, right? So rutabaga can be mashed, baked, or roasted. It's enjoyed in soup, salads, noodles, and even dessert. All right, so let's talk about our cruciferous vegetables. So these are when people think of vegetables, I find that these are the vegetables that people are like, oh, I don't want to eat broccoli. I don't want to eat my Brussels sprouts. People typically will eat salad. They struggle sometimes with some of the other things, but these are the vegetables that people have these bad memories from childhood, I guess. But so the big thing with cruciferous vegetables, they have this thing called sulforaphane, and it's a phytochemical. It's abundant in these types of vegetables, and it's getting a lot of research attention these days, right? So they're researching the heck out of this stuff, but the bottom line is that these vegetables have so many amazing properties that help out, right? So there's top 10, you can look over here to the left, you see what the different vegetables are, right? The broccoli, the Brussels sprouts are one of my favorite, right? I used to hate cauliflower, love it now. I'm still not a big broccoli fan. I like the stem. I don't like the top for some reason. It's like a texture thing. But I eat a lot of Brussels sprouts. I eat cabbage, but I only like cabbage raw. And then cauliflower, kale. I eat a ton of kale. You thought kale was a leafy green. Well, it is. I mean, it is leafy. It is green. But it also has this phytochemical in it, which throws it into this family as well. And then radishes, rutabaga, turnips, like we said, are in two different categories. They're also a root vegetable. Same thing with rutabaga. And then arugula, which also is a leafy green as well. But look, these things are like the cornerstone of anti-cancer prevention, right? So leafy green your leafy greens and your cruciferous vegetables are probably the two most important things that keep your cell walls healthy to help prevent oxidative stress, right? They have properties that help in depression relief. They help for pain relief, cardio protection. They help protect your heart. There's tons of antioxidants in here, and then they protect you from toxins and help you eliminate toxins, right? They help get toxins out of your body, almost like a cleanse type thing. They also help with insulin resistance, so they help reduce type 2 diabetes. It prevents stomach ulcers. It also helps with Alzheimer's prevention. So there's a lot of studies going on these days, folks, about the advent of all of these memory disorders and things like that as people are getting older, and a lot of it seems to be that we're just not eating enough of the good stuff. I mean, really. And that's why we focus in this program less at first about taking away all the crap, all the junk. And we want you to start with eating the good stuff. So if you're struggling and you went and you just tried to take all the junk away and you treated this like a diet from the get-go, don't. All right? We want you to start eating the good stuff first. It's all about that craving thing. You know what I mean? We got to get the good stuff in your body so you're not craving everything. And then when you do have cravings, you want to eat the good stuff, right? That's what we said. We don't eliminate certain food types. We eliminate junk food because it's not really food, right? But we don't eliminate any type of food type as you're going through this lifestyle change program. We try to make sure you're eating all these really good fruits and vegetables that are going to give you all these nutrients. They're going to help prevent these mind and body disorders. There's tons of anti-inflammatory benefits as well, which as you should know from some of the other courses we have, like on Western disease. If you haven't taken that course, you really should. The inflammation is the cornerstone of every chronic disease out there. So, as a bonus, it's been shown to improve autism patients. So, there's a study that was done on autism patients that really showed that, as they took this phytochemical as an extract, they gave it to them, and 65% of the patients in the group that was getting them had an improvement over none of the patients in the control group having improvements, right? So 65% of these patients had improvement, and then within a few weeks of not getting this, they all returned back to normal before the improvement. So very interesting studies that have been done on fruits and vegetables, and there's more and more of this coming. So I really think that things are heading in the right direction. But you got to remember those big pharmaceutical companies are going to try to shut down as much of this as possible because there's no money in it for them. Speaking of no money in it and for them, right? So cancer fighting power, the power of vegetables for fighting cancer. Listen, so we're going to talk about the top 10 cancer fighting vegetables. So there's this article that I recommend you guys take a look at, written by Chris Work. It was originally published on chrisbeatcancer.com. If you've noticed, we're constantly being bombarded with pleas from charities for cancer research money. All right, Race for the Cure, Stand Up for Cancer, Buy Pink Products, Grow a Movember Mustache. This is often accompanied by a message that we are running out of funding for cancer research. And of course, this is a problem because without funding for more research, we will never find a cure. Cue the shots of bald women and children poisoned by chemo, accompanied by dramatic music. Then insert a high-profile celebrity say the cure is just around the corner. Together, we can make cancer history. Please give today. Hey, here's the reality, folks. This is a mega multi-billion-dollar pharmaceutical industry thing, right? There's plenty of money to fund research, okay? They know what the solution is already. They know it's in prevention. They know it's in food. They know that food heals. They know this. They are not sharing it with everyone because there's no money in it for them. All right? They're only interested in medicines that they can patent because medicines that they can patent mean there's money, right? Research on nutrition and natural therapies is completely ignored by them. And not only is it ignored, but they have people out there actively going out there and going to the sites of people that are on the natural side and on their blogs and on their forums and trying to discredit them. They're putting up websites saying how their solutions are the right solutions and these other solutions don't work. It's sad. I've had several people that I know in my life have gone through chemo and whatnot, and they're always told not to eat fruits and vegetables. It's insane. That's the reason why they're there, is because they weren't eating enough of it. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, I need to start eating healthy. And they're told, oh, no, this is going to make you sick on the chemo. This is going to make you sick. It's going to make you not feel good. So then people don't eat it, okay, at the advice of their doctor. That's just being advised by what they're told by an industry that's out to make money on an illness, all right? There are thousands of published peer-reviewed studies demonstrating that over 100,000 phytonutrients in plants have the ability to prevent and reverse cancer. But because the pharmaceutical industry can't figure out how to extract these compounds, synthesize them, and patent them for profit, they are ignored. Okay? 100,000 plus phytonutrients in plants have the ability to prevent and reverse cancers. Doctors can't even use this published information or they risk losing their license. All right, so there was a study published in Food Chemistry, January 2009, called The Anti-Proliferation and Antioxidant Activities of Common Vegetables and Comparative Study. We have a link to that in the resources section, the more resources section at the end of this chapter, or at the end of this, not the chapter, the end of the course, right? So you can go there, you can check this out. The number one most powerful anti-cancer food, by the way, was garlic, right? So garlic stopped cancer growth completely against tumor cells in breast cancer, brain cancer, lung cancer, pancreatic cancer, prostate cancer, childhood brain cancer, and stomach cancer. Leeks were number one against kidney cancer. Garlic was number two. But not just garlic and leeks. Almost all vegetables from the Allium and Cruciferous families completely stopped growth in various cancers tested. Okay? So there's been other studies, folks. There's been tons of studies on this, over 100,000 studies on this. All right? Why is it not in popular media? Why is it not being blasted all across the television and the radio saying the cure for cancer is to eat healthier? The cure for cancer is to eat these fruits and vegetables. Why not? Because the media is controlled by the industries that advertise on them. Okay? That's why we don't know about this. Our doctors don't tell us about it because they don't know about it, because they're being controlled. All right? It's really sad. And hopefully someday this all flips around. But, as long as healthcare is the way it is in the United States, I don't know when that's going to be. But in the meantime, educate yourself. Go out there, find the information. I know if I were to get cancer, I would be really shocked, actually, because I do eat this diet, and I would be very disappointed. But I would look at alternative methods. I would go pretty extreme. There's the Gerson miracle and all kinds of other methods that treat cancer. That's my personal preference. I would probably also look at conventional means as well and try to make the best decision. So how do we get more veggies in our diet? I mean, this is a question I get a lot. Well, geez, how do I eat more veggies? Well, the biggest thing you can do is make vegetables the base of your meal. So instead of thinking this is the way I used to think. I'd be like, all right, I'm going to have fish tonight for dinner. I'd always think of the meat. And what am I going to have with that? Let's do some greens, or we can do some rice, or actually back then it would be like, let's do some rice and corn or something like that. But now the way I think of things is, what vegetables do I want to have? What's my base? My base is my vegetables. So in this case, if you look at this wrap that I made a little while back, this thing has some ground beef actually on there. It's like chorizo, ground bison, chorizo ground bison. And it's a like stir fry medley mix, cut up carrots and peppers and some onions in there, and it's all mixed together, and then it's thrown on this wrap, and I just lightly cooked it, right? Because I want to make sure I get a lot of the nutrients and the flavor. If you overcook stuff, the flavor's gone. But as you see, there's not a lot of meat here, right? It's actually on a gluten-free coconut-based wrap, and very delicious stuff. And the whole meal was based though around, what am I going to do with all these peppers and carrots? And then I made this up, right? A lot of times I'm like, you know what? Tonight I want greens. I want lots of greens for my dinner. What do I want? Do I want them raw? Do I want to stir fry them? What am I going to do? And then I think about what I'm going to add on. So there's a bunch of suggestions, different things you can do with your meals. You can put vegetables, stir fry, salads, wraps, sautés, casseroles. Baking casseroles are amazing, especially for those root vegetables. You can put some really great herbs in there. We didn't really talk about herbs. They really fall into those leafy greens for the most part. The cilantros, the basils, those sorts of things. Herbs have so many great medicinal properties. I grow a ton of herbs in my garden, and I eat a lot of herbs. They're just amazing. You got pastas. You can put them in. Now you're thinking, all right, what are you going to just put some oregano in there, some parsley? I do. I grow oregano and parsley, and I put fresh stuff in my pasta. But instead of using noodles, I use spaghetti squash usually. So spaghetti squash is awesome. It comes out like spaghetti. You steam it. You take it all out once it's at the texture you want it at, and you use it. right? You could also use zucchini noodles. There's all kinds of other ways, other things you can use to integrate more. And then if you're making your own fresh pasta sauce, you can do some really great things with the tomatoes and things like that, and get some really really good stuff. So you can bake them, you can steam them, and then you can also throw them in sandwiches. So that is the end of chapter 1. All right, welcome back. Hey, I know that vegetable section was pretty long, but I promise the next 2 chapters are not as long as that one. Why are fruits so important? Cancer is a product of a toxic body, so detoxing your body is critical in healing cancer. Chris' work, we talked a little about Chris on chrisbeatcancer.com. He's got a really cool site. You should check it out, especially if you know anyone battling that horrible disease. Here, overview on fruit. And the reason why we're not going to talk quite as much about fruit as we did on vegetables is a lot of what we talked about is the same. Phytochemicals, those sorts of things, the nutrients. A lot of these different things are kind of the same deal. So, and it is more important to eat more vegetables than fruit. Fruits are a little higher than in sugars, but they are very, very important and very necessary for great health. So fruit, you can eat this stuff fresh or frozen. I buy a lot of frozen fruit, especially the out of season stuff. I get the big organic bags of fruit, berries. There's different blends and stuff. I love using them for smoothies. I get them at Costco, and you can eat this stuff relatively inexpensively doing it that way. So fruit is Mother Nature's one of the most nutritious foods, right? It's an important cornerstone of a healthy diet. The fruits are naturally low in calories, sodium, and fat. Just like vegetables, there are 0 cholesterol in fruit, right? So if you have high cholesterol, you can eat all the fruit you want. It's wonderful. We don't prescribe to like a vegan diet, but like I've said before, if you have high cholesterol and you're trying to reduce that, and you've just kind of let things go your whole life, it doesn't hurt to do that for a little while, right? Get your cholesterol levels back down, or you could even not go totally vegan, because I didn't, but I got my cholesterol levels back down. I went vegan, I'll call it, for 4 years, because that was primarily what I was doing. I didn't eat any dairy, and I only had fish a few times a week, and that was the only meat that I ate. So when it came to like Thanksgiving, I honestly didn't even have turkey. I would make some mahi mahi or something and have that. It was pretty awesome, except that I needed more animal protein. And so now I've found this balance of this whole clean diet, and my cholesterol levels are actually better than they were, but I needed to go through that, right? My body needed that. Maybe your body does. Fruits provide many of the essential nutrients that we need in our diet. You should have 3 to 5 servings of fruit a day. I think a lot of like websites and stuff will tell you like 2 to 3. I like 3 to 5. All right, and here's why. Because if you're only having 2 to 3, that means you're eating something else you probably shouldn't be. Maybe you're eating more bread or more, things that are a little more out of balance, or maybe you're eating more meat. So 3 to 5 servings is a good way to go. All right, important nutrients in fruit. Potassium. Potassium is super important. It helps combat high blood pressure, and it helps reduce your risk of heart disease. I got to be honest with you. I love high potassium fruits. Bananas are like the best high potassium fruit. I have these suckers before a workout because they just give me the juice to get through like a 2-hour workout. Seriously, I have 1 banana and I'm good to go. I'm hungry when I'm done with my workout, but only in the last like 10 or 15 minutes while I'm stretching. Dietary fiber. There's tons of dietary fiber in fruit, which helps your blood's cholesterol levels. It also helps with reduce the risk of heart disease. It helps with type 2 diabetes as well, and obesity. So the funny thing is, the more of the good stuff you eat, the less of the bad stuff you eat, folks. So it ends up making you healthier. Vitamin C, super important for growth and repair of our body's tissues. So as we do things, our body tissues break down. I just went on a 10-mile hike today. I hiked to the top of this mountain called Bernardo Mountain. Not particularly any big challenge for me or anything, but it was a 10-miler because I did it from my doorstep. I decided not to drive down to the trail. And you know what? My body's feeling a little torn up right now. I'm feeling like, my legs need some recovery, right? So things like vitamin C help your tissues recover. Folate, folic acid, it helps your body form red blood cells. It also helps reduce the risk of birth defects. So I don't know if prenatal vitamins that women take, a lot of times they almost all have folic acid in them. Fiber-rich fruit satisfies your hunger with fewer calories, helping you maintain and even lose weight. So, not fruit juice, folks, but fruit, because when you juice it, you get rid of the fiber. Let's keep that in mind when we talk about, as you think about juicing. Like we talked a little bit about juicing with the vegetable stuff, right? If you're making juices, I like to put a little bit of fruit in my green juices because it gives them some flavor. But you gotta not put too much in, because then you're just putting a bunch of sugar in, and granted you're getting all those phytonutrients, but you're not getting the fiber, so you're gonna spike your blood glucose, right? So you need to keep that down. That's why I like to do smoothies personally, because then I get all the fiber still. My blood glucose is happy. I don't get those cravings, and I don't get hangry. All right. So being hangry is a blood sugar thing. So I know if I start getting hangry, I start thinking about what have I been eating. I've been eating something with too much sugar because I'm starting to get on that roller coaster, right? So and then I make adjustments, and if I'm not eating too much sugar, I don't get hangry. All right, so we talked about phytonutrients, and we've talked about that there are these naturally occurring phytochemicals that work to help us prevent disease and fight off disease. Squash. Whoa, hold on. What do you mean squash? You're talking about squash and the fruits? Yeah, so squash is a fruit, folks. It's often identified as a vegetable, though. So some of the varieties are buttercup, Hubbard, Cushaw, acorn, summer, autumn, winter, pumpkin, and zucchini. There's lots of health benefits of squash. All right, so squash helps boost your immunity, manages your diabetes. It's anti-inflammatory, prevents infections, improves lung function, prevents neural tube defects with folate, right? So that's the folate, the why women take folic acid as prenatal vitamins is for that same reason. But if you're eating enough of it, you don't really need to take a vitamin, and you're going to absorb it better in food. So it also relieves, very interesting enough, asthma symptoms, and regulates blood circulation and improves vision, strengthens bones. So squash are not only one of the largest groups of foods, but they are also some of the oldest cultivated crops on Earth, believe it or not, with archaeological data tracing their origins back to 10,000 years ago in Mesoamerica. They were famously one of the 3 sister crops cultivated by Native Americans who eventually shared them with European settlers. So these were a cornerstone of our European settlers' diet to make it in the New World and have enough food and nutrition, right? So let's talk a little about culinary application, right? So squash is super flexible. We can use it in all kinds of stuff. We can use it in salads when it's fresh. They can be cooked, baked with vegetables, meat. I've talked to you a little bit about spaghetti squash, using it for spaghetti. I also will take raw butternut squash. I love to do this. I throw it into the food processor and shred it into little shreds, and I put it on the top of salads. Super, super good. And then they help fill you up a little bit too. So sometimes if I eat a salad without some meat on it, I don't mean meat, because I always put a little bit of protein in there, but either some quinoa or some squash or something in there, then I don't get hungry in a couple hours. I can make it through the next meal. So squash has a very rich nutritional profile. It has a ton of nutrients. Highly recommend having a fair amount of squash in your diet. It also will help fill you up, right? So when you're eating all the leafy greens and everything else, mix in some squash. You don't have to just sit down and eat a salad of leafy greens. You can mix in stuff, and that's what's so great. I eat a salad every day, but I always eat different salads. It's funny. People are like, wow, you're bored eating a salad? Well, it's not like I'm sitting down with a thing of iceberg lettuce, tomatoes, carrots, and celery. I never have iceberg lettuce, number one. But I'm changing my greens. Sometimes it's romaine. Sometimes it's buttercup. Sometimes it's all these crazy lettuces that I get, and chard and kale and collards and cut up all kinds of rich, really cool greens, and then I put all kinds of other really cool stuff with them, seeds and nuts and berries, and I do this really great summer salad that I love with blueberries and strawberries and blackberries on top of like some really rich lettucey type greens. It's so good. Put a little bit of vinaigrette on that, a little like balsamic, and it's delicious stuff. All right, some of the most nutrient-rich fruits are the big antioxidant superstars here, wild blueberries, right? They're ranked number 1 in antioxidants, and there's a ton of great benefits, including lowering developing of age-related disease such as Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. Strawberries have a ton of vitamin C. They're rich in antioxidants, tons of anti-inflammatory properties, and they help prevent arteriosclerosis, which is hardening of the arteries. Also suppress the progression of cancerous tumors. Red raspberries. I'm not going to go and read through every single one of these things. You guys can do that. You can pause this. That's what's amazing about these courses. You don't need me to read all this to you. You can pause it. But blackberries, I love blackberries. I have some blackberry bushes. Oh, they're so good. So the Greeks called blackberries, they're gout berries, right? They use them to treat gout-related symptoms. Mangoes are so good. Everyone in the house loves mangoes except for my daughter. We just can't get her to convert. Apples contain flavonoids, which is an amazing antioxidant. Helps to lower the chance of developing diabetes and asthma. Avocados. God, avocados are like one of our favorite foods in this house. I'm telling you. There's all kinds of benefits, lots of good fats, helps with your brain health amongst a lot of other things. And then I talked to you about bananas and how much potassium's in a banana, right? Another thing has a lot of potassium in is coconut water, which is another fruit, basically, is having the water from the inside of the coconut. Hey, folks, that's the end of Chapter 2. So we're going to have a brief quiz on fruits, some of the benefits, and then we will move on to Chapter 3 and talk about superfoods. So super excited to talk about superfoods. It's a really interesting subject. Here's another great quote from Dr. Mark Hyman. You can't exercise your way out of a bad diet. So if you're eating a bad diet, you just can't exercise your way out of that. You've heard abs are made in the kitchen, all kinds of really good stuff. We're here to teach you how to make those abs in the kitchen, though. What is a superfood? So, guys, this term has become so overused in recent decades. It's like everything's a superfood anymore. You want some McDonald's French fries? They're our superfood. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, it's used a lot. And quite frankly, in my opinion, pretty much any fruit or vegetable, for some reason, you can think of it as a superfood. But for marketing purposes and what influences the products, the food industry has kind of bestowed this kind of superfood label on nutrient-rich foods, which are supposed to have a high capacity for positively affecting your health, and they should be very nutrient dense, right? So that's kind of the key, nutrient dense. They're mostly plant-based. There are some fishes on there. And actually there's kefirs on there, which is technically a dairy product, and we'll get to that. But typically those nutrients, they have benefits like warding off cancer, anti-inflammatory properties, preventing diabetes, preventing digestive problems, and amongst many others. All right, so we're going to talk about my list of 20 superfoods that I feel have earned the title superfood. So this is my own personal list. Number 1 on the list is maca. Maca is a cruciferous vegetable and therefore related to broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, and kale. It has a long history of culinary and medicinal use in Peru. The main edible part of the plant is the root, which grows underground. It exists in several colors ranging from white to black. Maca root is generally dried and consumed in powder form, but it's also available in capsules and liquid extract. So maca, pretty cool stuff. I put it in, it's one of my secret ingredients in my superfood smoothies. So superfood protein shakes. So if you've read the superfood protein shake ebook that you should have gotten as part of this course, if not, it's in our resources section, then you should. Cacao. This photo here is of cacao, right? Cacao is what chocolate comes from. So very, very good stuff. Another superfood that I put in those, the wonderful superfood protein shake I make. I can't talk. All right. Dark leafy greens, kale, Swiss chards, collards, turnips, spinach, berries, raspberries, strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, cranberries, and goji berries. Green tea, which I do not drink because I don't do caffeine. And then eggs. I do love my eggs. Eggs are like the perfect protein. They've got all kinds of good stuff in there. They've got fat. They've got really great balance of everything that you need from a protein standpoint, but you should make sure you're eating pasture raised. Legumes, seeds, chia, sunflower, pumpkin, flax, and hemp. I put chia seeds in my superfood protein shakes. Look at that. I got it right this time. All right. This is a continued list because we couldn't fit it all on. 1, nuts, almonds, pecans, walnuts, pistachios, Brazil, and macadamia. You know, I've seen several different lists out there saying which nut's healthier than which nut. One thing that I kind of always see is walnuts and almonds are towards the top as well as macadamia. Also, cashews, which are not on this list, I would probably throw in there as well. Kefir, garlic. We talked a lot about garlic with the anti-cancer properties. Olive oil, ginger. Ginger's like a super flu fighter. Tumeric helps a ton with joints and all kinds of other good stuff. And then salmon. Let's stop here at salmon for a minute. So, salmon is considered a superfood, but only the wild stuff, guys. So if you're at dinner, my number one question if I'm ordering salmon or if there's salmon on the menu is it wild caught? If they say no, I don't order it. If they say yes and it comes on, it looks like what's on the left, I send it back because they lied to me. Okay? The stuff on the left, if it's orange, it is fake Frankenfish. Okay? Now listen, this is important. Why don't I eat farm-raised salmon? Because the fish is not fed what it's supposed to. They feed it corn and soy and things like that. The meat ends up being white, so they need to dye it to make it look like it's wild-caught salmon. Like it looks like they're trying to make it look like the stuff on the right, and they can't even get the color right. That's sad. They can't even get the color right to fool people. But that dye that they use, and think about how much dye they have to use to take a whole piece of white meat and make it look orange like that. That dye is toxic and connected to all kinds of brain disorders. So stay away from this stuff, all right? It's not as healthy for you. It's not a superfood. It doesn't have the omega-3s like the stuff on the right has, and it is loaded with omega-6s. It's super, super toxic. Avoid it, all right? And it's bad for the environment. All right, so avocado, love those things. Told you that earlier. Sweet potatoes, love that. Wheatgrass. Wheatgrass is another one that I put in my superfood protein shake. And then we've got mushrooms and seaweed, all of which that I do enjoy. So we come to the final part of our course. Hopefully that answered your questions on superfoods. It is really kind of a gray area, right? There is no like rule that, hey, it becomes a superfood because it has this level of nutrients. It's really just all about something that's really dense in nutrients that has a lot of really good health properties, which quite frankly, like I said, is most fruits and vegetables. So taking action. Look, eat as many raw veggies as possible. Eat your 3 to 5 servings of fruit per day. Try to incorporate some superfoods in your diet. All right, I recommend you can get like a lot of the stuff that I'm getting if you read the Superfood Protein Shake ebook, the guide. I get all of that stuff at Costco except for the Amazing Grass Wheatgrass. I get that at like Whole Foods. But you don't need a lot of that stuff. If you put a lot of it in something, it's going to taste horrible, trust me. So you just put a little bit in. So try to incorporate those superfoods and then stay active. New thing, though, I want you to try something new this week. All right, if you've been just walking, if you've been just doing the elliptical, I want you to try something new. it's not really good for your body and your joints to keep doing the same thing all the time, with the exception of walking. Walking, you can do quite a bit, but even then, certain muscle groups can get sore and tight and things like that. If you do walk, pick a different route, all right? Your muscles get used to the same route, and it's just better to change things up. Try something new. If you don't feel comfortable on rollerblades like the couple on the right here, then don't do that. And please wear a helmet and some knee pads and stuff if you haven't done that stuff before. But anyway, with that takes us to the end of chapter 3 and the end of this course. So I hope you guys all enjoyed it. I hope you really got something out of it. Keep in mind, we're all about teaching you why you should eat these fruits and vegetables. Okay, so hopefully you understand why now. Hopefully you understand why it is so critically important to load your body with good food, and why what we really prescribe to here is that this is not a diet. We don't, because diets mean you take stuff away. We are not about moderation. We're not about taking different food groups away. We are about taking away junk food, but we are all about eating your way to health in a healthy way. Okay, so we're going to eat our way there. That's what's amazing. That's what's so great about the lifestyle change. Take care, folks, and have a great one.